Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are discussing chapter 9 Bhagavad Gita, 4th verse and 5th verse. You can repeat after me. Maya tatam idam sarvam Jagat avyakta murtina Matsthani sarva bhutani Na cha aham teshu avasthitaha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. And the next verse we'll also read. Nachamatstani bhutani Pashyame yogam aishwaram Bhuta brinna cha bhutastho Mamatma bhrita bhavanaha Bhuta bhavanaha. Okay, and yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is a very source of creation. So we'll read this, I'll tell you. Let's start. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Anjana Shalakaya Shurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. So, these two verses are, if you want to ask what is our philosophy, these two verses. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy is Achinte Bhed Abhed. And these 9 chapter 4th verse, 9 chapter 5th verse, they're talking about this very philosophy of Achinte Bhed Abhed. Now what is that? In one sense that is, Bhed means difference, Abhed means non-difference. So Krishna is different from this material world, at the same time he is non-different. That is what Krishna is saying. I am everywhere, but still I am not there. No? By me in manifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Now this needs explanation. What does Krishna mean? So Prabhupada explains in the purport, and Prabhupada immediately starts this purport, 9 chapter 4th verse, by the statement, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not perceivable through gross material senses. And this verse is famous, Srila Prabhupada's famous verse, 1.2.234. Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahayam indriyai sevonmukhai jivadau swayameva surati yada. Lord Krishna's name, fame, pastimes cannot be understood by material sense. So why Prabhupada is starting with this point that he cannot be perceived by material senses? Because although Krishna is everywhere, we can't see him. We can't see him now, no? The question is, why can't we see him? If Krishna is saying, I am pervaded in entire universe, why can't we see him? Why? Because our senses are material senses now. Material senses means, Prabhupada is saying, our senses are gross material senses. That means our senses do not have love for God. That's the idea. So to perceive Krishna, you need love. The senses which are charged with love, they are spiritual senses. Senses which are devoid of love, they are material senses. Simple. So Prabhupada gives that example of iron rod. So iron rod, if it's iron, but if it is red hot, it acts like fire. Or Prabhupada gives one more example, this electric wires. So electric wires, they're ordinary wires, but when electricity is flowing, they are life. So when love is there in our senses, they are life. Otherwise they are dead. So Prabhupada takes this opportunity in this verse to talk about love. That's why Prabhupada says, only to one who is engaged in pure devotional service under proper guidance is he revealed. In Brahma Samhita it is said, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hrideshu Gavanti. One can see Supreme Personality Godhead Govinda always within himself and outside himself if one has developed a transcendental loving attitude towards him. So this verse, although it looks like philosophical verse, no? I am everywhere, still I am not there. So one can, Jnanis like to speculate on this verse. And it is like verse from Upanishads, and then there will be philosophical speculations, how he is everywhere, how he is not everywhere. No, you can just keep on discussing. That's what Mayavadis do. But that's why Prabhupada immediately starts with purport this with love, loving service. Because this mystery cannot be unlocked without loving service to Krishna. It's impossible. And this shows that actually Prabhupada's commentary is full of devotion and love. His commentary is not dry commentary, no? And also he's teaching us how to perceive love everywhere. That's the idea. We are not scholars. We are not philosophers. We are servants of Krishna. Our aim is to serve him with love, and that's all. And everything will be revealed. That's our aim. That is why immediately Prabhupada starts with this. That means Prabhupada is arguing with Jnanis here. Whenever Prabhupada writes purport, he is doing two things. He is establishing the fact and he is arguing wrong philosophies. He's cutting those wrong philosophies. So with this statement, immediately he cut, because if you take other Gita, no? So many people have written so many Gitas, like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, like all these people. So this verse, specifically this verse, they will never talk about love. Never. They'll say, yeah, love, yeah, that is in 12th chapter, devotional service, or some other, but this is not love. So Prabhupada speaks about love, loving service, that's all. Thus, in general people, he is not visible. He is not visible to general people. The point is, because we don't have love, we can't see him everywhere. Because we can't see him everywhere, we engage in sinful activities. We think nobody is watching us. But actually, Krishna is watching us every second. Not only Krishna, but there are 10 things which are watching you. 10 things. What are those? Sun in the day, moon in the night, and then earth, water, fire, air, ether. 7. And then demigods. 8. And then 9th is directions. 10 directions. And 10th is super soul. Krishna. That is why Krishna is saying, by my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. So this unmanifested form includes all these things. Because the energy of sun is from Krishna, energy of moon is from Krishna. Krishna says in 11th chapter, no, all these energies are coming from me. I am directions. I am earth, water, air, fire, ether. He manifests in all this. So he is everywhere. So that's why Prabhupada says that Krishna consciousness means to be conscious that Krishna is everywhere. It is not, Krishna consciousness doesn't mean to be conscious of Krishna in your fantasies, in your dreams. That's not Krishna consciousness. The thinking of Krishna, oh Krishna is so sweet, that you can do, no problem. But real Krishna consciousness is to understand Krishna is everywhere. He is not just in temple. He is here in front of us, but he is everywhere also. He is within us. That's how we'll become conscious. No, what is conscious means aware. Conscious. Actually Prabhupada's word is very nice. Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada didn't write Krishna memory or Krishna's dream, not something like this, or Krishna word. No, Prabhupada writes Krishna. Prabhupada wanted to use conscious. Conscious means aware. We are aware. 24 hours we are aware. He is watching us, but we are not watching him. If we can, the idea we start with Krishna conscious means to think about Krishna, and also it means we are conscious of Krishna and also Krishna is conscious of us. It's both ways. Krishna consciousness. So when we are conscious that Krishna is conscious of us, and that is devotion. Simple. So that's what Prabhupada is bringing this point here. Prabhupada is bringing this point here. For general people, it's not visible because people are conscious about themselves. Is it? That's a word, no? That people are too much conscious about themselves in society, how they are dressed, how they're talking, how the people are responding to their talks. But devotee is not like that. Devotee is not only conscious of people, but he's more conscious about Krishna. How Krishna is acting through various people. How Krishna is acting through me. How he's thinking, he is always watching us. He is expecting that we do such activities which will please him. So you don't need to do anything if you want to serve Krishna. I mean to say, in the sense, if you want to be conscious of Krishna, just close your eyes. If you're conscious, no? People used to say, Prabhupada disciples used to say that when Prabhupada used to close his eyes, it was as if he is in contact with Krishna. It was as if Krishna is painted in his eyelids. He closes eyes and sees Krishna. That is pure devotee. That we have to practice. So you see, this is Prabhupada starts in a nice way about love. Here it is said that although he is all pervading, everywhere present, he is not conceivable by material senses. So unless we have sense gratification in our senses, eyes, all senses, Krishna will not reveal us. Krishna, first revelation, first meeting with Krishna is in his holy name. That's the first meeting. Second meeting is in spiritual world. But first meeting is in holy name. You know that 9th chapter only this. Before this, Krishna writes, Pratyakshavagamam dharmayam susukham kartum abhyam. That verse, second verse, no? Rajvidya Rajguyam. So when we chant holy names, slowly Krishna will manifest into our senses. How? In form of happiness. So your heart will become happy, your eyes, ears, nose. Holy name enters your heart, ears enters your heart, and then from the heart, just like poison, it spreads into entire body. So that happiness will spread into entire body. All senses will become enlightened. That is mode of goodness, no? That is mode of goodness. So he is, but if we have material senses, we will not be able to feel anything. No touch of Krishna. Krishna wants to touch us, but we don't want to allow him to touch us. That is material. It's not something mystical. Material sense means we don't want Krishna. Spiritual senses means we want him. Material senses means we don't want Krishna to interfere in our life, no? That's what we are. Krishna, you look nice in altar. Stay there, and I am here. Don't enter into my life. So what does that mean? We don't want to follow what he says nicely and properly, no? So that is material, that's all, finish. Prabhupada said in one of his lecture that apple is not material. Apple? It's not something material. Prabhupada says if you engage in service of Krishna, it is spiritual. If it is not engaged in service of Krishna, it is material. So everything what you see is actually not even material, not spiritual. It depends how you engage it. That's all. And that's very important point Prabhupada is bringing up. This is indicated here by the word avyakta murtina. You see this word avyakta murtina in the verse? You know what this means? Avyakt means unmanifest. Murtina means form. So actually, if you see Jnanis who write commentary here, you know how they will translate avyakt. That Prabhupada is mentioning avyakta murtina for a purpose. Because Jnanis say Krishna is having a form which is formless. Murtina means form. Avyakt means which is which you can't see. So he says Krishna is having a form which is formless. He is, they say in Sanskrit, Jyoti Sarup. You have heard? He's Jyoti Sarup. He's having a form, okay. What form? Form of a light. So, but Prabhupada is bringing this point of Avyakta Murti. Na? Avyakt doesn't mean formless. You see here how Prabhupada translates. Unmanifested doesn't mean formless. Avyakt means which is not manifest. Vyakt means manifest. Avyakt means unmanifest. That is why Prabhupada translates unmanifested form. He doesn't say formless light. So unmanifested form means he is there, but we can't see him. That is unmanifest. Very subtle. Just like you can't see your mind. We can feel some things, no? We can see earth, water, fire, air, but ether we can't see. Mind is more subtle, that we can't see, but we can feel. Intelligence is more subtle. We can't see, but we can feel. Soul is most subtle. We can't even see, we can't even feel. Now, presently. And super soul is most subtle. We can't see, we can't feel, we can't do anything until unless we are absolutely pure, we'll not be able to see him. That is why Krishna says Avyakta Murtina, unmanifested form. He is unmanifested to all of us. If you want to manifest him, what do? Prabhupada says, loving service. He'll manifest himself. One day you'll close your eyes, you will see Krishna within yourself. It's simple. It will be as simple. Prabhupada said it is simple to see Krishna. Prabhupada said that in one of the lecture. Somebody was asking Prabhupada, it's so difficult to understand Krishna, what do you do? Prabhupada says, in one lifetime you can have 50 times God realization. Not just once. But of course it seems like joke to all of us because it seems a big thing to all of us. No? But Prabhupada says the only qualification to see Krishna is to desire to see him. That's all. He'll show himself. Now he's unmanifest. You know why he's unmanifest? Because we don't want to see him. If I don't want to meet somebody, why will come and meet me? You do your business, I'll do my business. That's all. Finish. It's simple as that. Nothing big philosophy. So because we don't want to see Krishna, Krishna says, okay, I'll not show you. The day you want to see Krishna, he is ready actually. He is ready to show himself. That is why he comes in form of deities. Okay, even if you don't want to see me, I'll show myself. That is deities. So who is more merciful, Krishna or his deity? Actually deities, no. That is why it is said, Arch Vigraha, expansion of God as Arch Vigraha, it is more merciful. Because even if you don't want to see him, he manifests. Okay, in this form you can see me. Not in original form. But, okay, have my darshan. He wants to give his darshan. That is why we have deities. So presence of deity shows that he is eager to meet us. He is eager to show us. But then why he is withholding his form? Because we are not eager. That is why we can see deities, but we cannot talk to him. He doesn't talk to us. And it is just like pause. It is just stationary. But the more you develop a desire to see him, the more he will reveal. He will reveal you slowly, slowly, slowly. One day, deities will talk to you. He can accept your offerings. There were many disciples of Lord Chaitanya, like Gauridas Pandit. You know about him, Gauridas Pandit. Whenever he used to offer prasad to Gaunitai, they used to eat. Like, really eat. By hand, and his whole food used to get finished. He is disciple of Lord Chaitanya. Still those deities are there in Mayapur. If you go, actually near Mayapur there is a place, Ambika Kalna. The original deities are there, which used to eat. That's Krishna. So it's not a joke. It can happen with us. But it can happen if we develop a desire to see him. But actually, although we cannot see him everywhere, everything is resting in him. We cannot see him, but he is controlling everything. Everything is resting in him means he is controlling everything. He is supreme controller. We cannot see his control, but he is controlling. Prabhupada says in one of his lecture that this is Krishna's mystic opulence. He is controlling everything. At the same time, we will feel that we are controlling. This is illusion. This is illusion. Everybody is thinking they are controlling. But actually he is controlling Krishna. And Krishna will never tell us that he is a controller. He is behind the scenes. He doesn't reveal his secret. He reveals his secret only to devotees. And that is why everybody is... just like lizard. Lizard. So lizard is on the roof. Sometimes you see lizard. So lizard, it thinks that if I am not there, then roof will fall down. Because it is on the roof, no. It's always on the roof. Holding the roof. It doesn't fall down, but it's full, no. Similarly, we are like that. We think if I am not there, then this will happen. Nothing is going to happen. What will happen? It is already decided. But we are in illusion. We think we are in control. So that's why Krishna is speaking this verse. We have to try to realize everything is resting in him. Lord Chaitanya told his mother. His mother was very apprehensive when Lord Chaitanya was taking sannyas. That Nimai, you're taking sannyas, what will happen to us? And his wife, Vishnupriya, who he just married. So Mahaprabhu told mother, don't worry. Krishna is controlling everything. Have faith. Don't worry. Even if I am here, it doesn't matter. What he wants, that will happen. What he doesn't want, that is never going to happen. You can't go anti to wishes of God. So, that's what Krishna is saying. There is an invisible hand of Krishna everywhere. We have to see it. As we have discussed in 7th chapter, entire material cosmic manifestation is only a combination of his two energies, superior and inferior. Why do we call it as inferior energy? Why his spiritual energy is called superior?
I mean, from Krishna's point of view, it doesn't matter. But from our point of view,
why it is inferior? Why material world is inferior?
It's an illusion. It causes us to forget Krishna.
No, it's the same material energy. Paramahamsa Prabhupada is here. Prabhupada is seeing material energy is engaged in service of God. No, doesn't affect him. Krishna says in Gita, 15th chapter, material energy is called inferior because it can be exploited by superior energy. So superior energy can use this because material energy is dead. That's the point. That's why it's inferior. Don't know life. Spiritual energy is life. That is why it is superior. Simple. Life is more superior than that. No. That is why it is inferior, superior. Otherwise it's not superior. You can also engage inferior things into service of God. That is the context of inferior, superior. One is dead, one is living. Only in that sense. It is not inferior because it cannot be engaged in service of Lord. That's not the idea. It can be engaged. Just as sunshine is spread all over universe, the energy of Lord is spread all over creation, and everything is resting in that energy. This example of sunshine is given. Sunshine is everywhere. Similarly, Krishna is everywhere. The sunshine is also what is sunshine? Sunshine is a effulgence of body of God. So sunshine is Brahmajyoti. So Krishna's fraction of light of his body, it goes in sun and it gets reflected to us. Scientists might say nuclear fusion and nuclear fission reaction. That's another thing. But we don't believe in all those things. That's complete nonsense. It is all... Prabhupada once, he was there and he saw the sky and he asked people, why sky is blue? So his devotees were saying because of refraction of light, because red light it spreads so you cannot see, so blue light you can see, Vibgyor. So but Prabhupada says no. Prabhupada says because Krishna is blue. The sky is reflecting the color of Krishna's body. So devotees were telling Prabhupada, how is this? Prabhupada say, you research, but this is Krishna is blue, that is why sky is blue. Why sun is glowing? So much light, because from Krishna's body light is coming. That is why there is light in sun. So see how Prabhupada used to see. He could connect everything with Krishna. And that connection is not illusion. It's not that we are trying to just connect in a dream world. Oh, sky is blue, so Krishna is blue. It's not like that. That is reality. Vedyam vastavam vastu shivadam Bhagavatam, first verse. It starts with the statement, if you read Bhagavatam, you will understand Vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam. You will understand the vastavam, the reality of this material world. That is reality. Everything else is illusion. So, it is not fantasization. It is not brainwashing. No. It is like that. That's all. Sky is blue because it is reflecting Krishna's body color. Now they can research on that. That's all. Prabhupada said you research. Now this is first verse. This is purport's first verse. And everything we will be able to understand if we lovingly serve him. Then we will be able to see Krishna. So if you consider Krishna as matter, if you consider Krishna as body made of matter, no, he will be born in matter. If you consider Krishna as light, he will become light. If you consider Krishna to be subjected to birth and death, he will be subjected to birth and death. It is ye yatha mam prapadanti. Same, it will happen same thing to you. If we consider Krishna as spiritual, we will become spiritual. Simple. So that's what Prabhupada is trying to impress. This mystery can be unlocked only by loving service. Now next paragraph, Prabhupada starts something else. Yet one should not conclude that he spread all over. He has lost his personal existence. He is everywhere, still he is not everywhere. Now how do you understand? You can't understand. That's why Mahaprabhu added that word achinte. So the point is, inconceivable doesn't mean that you can't understand. Because somebody can say achinte, what achinte means? Chintan, beyond chintan. Chintan, you understand chintan?
Yeah, thinking.
Beyond thinking. Why it is beyond thinking? It is not that we can never understand. We can understand, but not by logic. That is why it is called achinte. But Prabhupada says we can understand by love. So you know what? Why Prabhupada is mentioning this point? That because Gyanis, they say you cannot understand God. So when we say he has form, he has name, past, they say no, you cannot understand God. Simply close your eyes and meditate that he is shunya, he is light. Because you cannot understand. God is all powerful. How will small people understand him? So it appeals to people, no? So just make your mind empty, everything, that's all, finish. So, and they also like to add this word, achinte. He's achinte. So in their lectures, if you ask who is God, achinte, meditate. No talks about God. But for us, achinte doesn't mean that you cannot understand. You cannot understand by logic, because he is having contradictory qualities. This is another point which Prabhupada is bringing in this first statement. You should not conclude that because he is spread all over, he has lost his personal existence. He is having personal existence, at the same time he is everywhere. This is contradictory, no? So Krishna has contradictory qualities. That is why we cannot understand him by logic. You cannot understand by logic. If a question has answer yes and no both, it's illogical, no? Both answers cannot be there. But Krishna, it can happen. Krishna, you are everywhere, yes. Krishna, you are everywhere, no. Simultaneously, yes or no. How do you do that? We don't know. But so logic cannot. That is why Mahaprabhu says achinte. The point is, Prabhupada is bringing the point, he has contradictory qualities. You have heard that verse, Isopanishad. Krishna walks, he doesn't walk. Tad ichchati, tad na ichchati. Tad dure, tad vantike. He's far away, at the same time he's very near. So all those are contradictory qualities. That is one difference between God and us. We cannot have contradictory qualities. Krishna is a repository of all contradictory qualities. That is technically called Virudh Dharm Ashray. Virudh means contradiction. Dharma means qualities. Ashray means shelter. He is shelter of all contradictions. So at the same time he can be most merciful, at the same time he can be most cruel. He can do that. He can, at the same time he can be in Vrindavan, at the same time he cannot be in Vrindavan. That is why we say Krishna never left Vrindavan. At the same time he left Vrindavan. How do you understand that? So, because of those contradictions, we'll never be able to understand Krishna by logic. It's impossible. That is why Prabhupada says, do loving service to him. And then Krishna will make you understand. He'll open the secrets of contradictions. Otherwise we'll be locked up. Suppose we chant holy name, no? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So this is sound, but at the same time it is not sound. It is Krishna himself. Everywhere there are contradictions. Everywhere. In spiritual world. But it is not revealed to us because generally, we humans, we like to think by logic, no? We are programmed to think by logic, especially America. What is the logic? Why should I believe this? What is evidence? It's evidence, no?
Research.
Yeah, so sometimes logic is good. Sometimes logic can block you. Every time logic will not help you. It can block our advancement. That is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, use logic to cut logic. That's the best logic. Use your logic to convince yourself that Krishna is beyond logic. The day we can do that, is successful. You know the Zen, Japanese spiritual practice. What they do? Zen masters do this only. So they will give you a puzzle. What is the sound of clapping by one hand? What do you do with that? Can you say? If you clap with one hand, what is the sound? You can't. It's illogical, no? So the student will be like thinking. So like this, there are so many riddles. Like Zen master will say, okay, what is a form of sound? There's no answer. So what he is doing? He's training the student to try to make them understand everything cannot be understood by logic. It cannot be limited by our small logic. Cannot be done. So that's Zen practice. So once they understand this, then they leave their logic, they meditate, and then things get revealed to them. So sometimes we harm ourselves, by our own intelligence. That is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, use intelligence to go beyond intelligence. Simple. So some things we can understand by logic, whatever Krishna has told. Rest, leave it up to him. So, you know why? Because if you speak this, Krishna is beyond logic, then there is an argument for that. Many devotees will say, yeah, okay, so we will not understand anything, he is beyond logic, simply chant and be happy. No philosophy. That's also wrong. That's the other extreme. One extreme is fully logic, another extreme is no logic. No, we are not saying that. We are saying to certain extent you can apply logic, and after one limit it is no logic. So this thing you cannot understand by logic. He is everywhere and he is nowhere. But some things you can, like we are soul, we are not this body. You can understand by logic. We can apply logic. Or about God, Krishna loves his devotees. We can understand by logic how he loves his devotees, how devotees surrender to him. So that is why Upanishad says, aprape mansasaha. Mind can reach God up to a certain limit, and from that limit it turns back and comes. Because after that, you can't understand anything. So Prabhupada says, to refute such argument, Lord says, I am everywhere, everything is in me, but I am still aloof. For example, a king heads a government which is but the manifestation of king's energy. The different government departments are nothing but energies of king. Each department is resting on king's power. Simple. Just like if you go to a company, everything is controlled by boss, but he's not seen anywhere. Many employees might not have met even. CEO, entire career, but still he is there. So similarly like that. We have not met Krishna, entire life we will not meet Krishna, but he is controlling. But still we cannot expect king to be present in department personally. This is the same thing. That is crude example. Similarly, all manifestation we see, everything that exists both in material world and spiritual world, are resting on the energy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now to understand this, we can't understand this by meditation. We have to be informed. So you can't understand who is CEO of a company by meditation. You have to ask somebody, You have to be informed. So similarly, Krishna is informing us. Just by meditation, we'll never understand everything is under control of God. If you do only meditation, the conclusion will be that everything is one. There is no one in control. Mayavad? Yeah. That will be the conclusion. Because they don't like to hear. So, devotion is all about hearing, no? Prabhupada says, the creation takes place by the diffusion of his energies, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. Vishtabhyam idam Krishnam. He is present everywhere by his personal representation and the diffusion of his different energies. So we have to practice now. Now we have to practice. Krishna has told, okay, this is this. Now what do you do? What is a practice? A practice is to try to perceive Krishna everywhere. And then what do you do with that? Develop service attitude. Or it can be ulta also. If we serve him, we'll be able to perceive him everywhere. So everything starts from service. That is why when you see many people come, if you want to choose, you have to tell him philosophy, or you have to ask him to serve. What we choose? Service, no? We don't choose to tell him all these things. Okay, first serve, then we will discuss. So because by service, by mercy of Krishna, we can understand this. You know what I read when I joined ISKCON? I read Bhagavad Gita maybe 100 times, but I didn't understand anything. It was like, maybe with you also. We can't understand Gita, no? We can't make anything out of it. What's happening, Every purport is looking same. Every purport, we can't understand what's happening. So, but then I went for book distribution for 1 month. And then I came back and then I opened Gita and I could understand everything. Not everything, but many things what I could understand. So that is mercy of Krishna. By service, mercy comes. By mercy, these secrets open. That is why Bhagavad Gita, you see the chapter's name is Most Confidential Knowledge. Yeah. If it is more confidential, why Krishna is telling us? The point, this is a contradiction, no? Yeah. Secrets are not to be revealed. But here it is printed. And we are distributing everybody. Look, see, this is most confidential knowledge. So how do you understand this? Why Krishna is telling all these secrets? Although he says it as a secret. He says, no, Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam. This is the most secret knowledge. But yet, he is revealing. So how do we understand this? This contradiction. What's the answer? How do you understand this? Is he fool? To first say it is secret? Okay, but now I'll tell you. This is like crazy, Why it is like that? Because Prabhupada says in that verse, Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam, previously, Prabhupada mentions that this is an open secret. Open secret. It's an open secret. Why it is open secret? Because even though Krishna will tell you, still you will not be able to understand. You will not be able to understand. So it is secret.
It's open, but
what happened? She's going. So like that. So that is why it's open secret. Even though Krishna is telling us, we will not be able to realize it. Otherwise, Gita would have been so easy for us. So Krishna knows that even if I tell them, they will not be able to understand any damn thing about it. Yeah. That is why he calls this as Rajguyam. That is why this is open secret. So it is available to everybody, but we can't penetrate it. To penetrate that, we need loving service. We need service attitude and love. Otherwise, it's a contradiction. Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is like that. When it begins, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says that although internal pastimes of Radha Krishna should not be revealed, but still I am revealing this in this book through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he says, why I am doing this? Because he says, see, the point is, it's an offense now to reveal these intimate topics. But I am revealing. So I am not doing offense because people who cannot understand, they will never understand. Even if they can read. And people who will understand, for them, this knowledge is available. They can read and understand. So, Krishna Kaviraj Swami is saying that in that sense, I am not doing offense to write all these secrets there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because if you don't reveal, then people who can understand, they lose opportunity. So that's the same thing what Krishna is doing here. People who can understand, they lose opportunity if Krishna doesn't tell them. He can realize. People who doesn't realize, anyway, they're not going to understand anything. So then Krishna says in next verse, 5th verse, and yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am maintainer of all living entities, although I am everywhere, I am not part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. Doesn't this verse look same as previous verse?
Yes, bro. Yes.
It's almost the same, no?
Yeah.
Then why is he saying all this? So, he says, and yet everything that is created does not rest in me. In previous verse, he said everything rests in me.
Yeah.
And now he is saying, nothing rests in me. So in previous verse, he says everything is controlled by me. But now he is saying, yet everything that is created is not controlled by me. That Krishna says mystic opulence. And Prabhupada starts the purport by explaining this. How everything is controlled and not controlled. Prabhupada says, Lord says everything is resting on him. In previous verse, Mat Sthani Sarva Bhutani. In previous verse, this is that, no?
Yeah.
This should not be misunderstood. The Lord is not directly concerned with maintenance and sustenance of this material manifestation. That is why Krishna says everything is controlled by me and not controlled by me. So Krishna has made laws, physical laws, and the world is going according to laws. He is simply sitting, just like a watchmaker.
Yeah.
He makes watch. Okay, it keeps on going. So he's in control, still control, because anything which goes wrong, he can always make it right. But still he's aloof. Or Krishna appoints Brahma. Indirectly he is controlling. The point is he's controlling indirectly. That is the point he's trying to bring here. I am not in direct control of this company. I am CEO, they are managers, they are controlling. I am directing them. And that's the point which he's trying to impress at. The Lord is not directly concerned with maintenance, sustenance of this material manifestation. Sometimes we see a picture of Atlas holding the globe. Seems to be very tired, holding this great earthly planet. Such an image should not be entertained in connection with Krishna's upholding created universe. He says that although everything is resting on him, he is aloof. He is enjoying in spiritual world, and everything is going on nicely. So he's a master planner. You can say like that. So there are two words in Bhagavatam: Atra Sarga Visargascha, creation and special creation. So he creates the basics. And then he gives to Brahma, okay, make this everything out of it. He creates earth, water, fire, air, ether, like colors. And he gives to Brahma, okay, now paint. So that's why. So he's not in direct control. He says that although everything is resting on him, he's aloof. Planetary systems are floating in space. This space is the energy of Supreme Lord. But he's different from the space. He's differently situated. Achinte Bhedaved. Therefore, Lord says, although they are situated on my inconceivable energy, Supreme Personality Godhead, I am aloof from them. This is inconceivable opulence of Lord. How he controls, at the same time he is not directly controlling. Still everything is in control. In So it is said, Krishna knows everything from Indra to Indra. Indra is demigod, Prabhupada says, no?
Yeah.
And Indra is the smallest insect. So Krishna is in control of everything. Or maybe not directly. Indirectly he controls. Therefore, in Nirukti Vedic dictionary, it is said, Yujyate anena durgateshu karyeshu. Supreme Lord is performing inconceivable, wonderful pastimes, displaying his energy. This verse, durgateshu karyeshu. You know, this word is very important, durgat. Durgat means which is impossible. So Krishna makes impossible possible. Durgata, ghatana aghatana patyasi. That's what Prabhupada says. This is God. God means who can make impossible possible. So in previous verse, see, every verse of Gita is helping us to understand Krishna more. That's Gita all about, no? So previous verse, we understood one quality of Krishna. What is that most important quality? He is having contradictions. Although Prabhupada doesn't write clearly contradiction, but that's a theme coming there. He's having, and in this verse, the quality of Krishna, what we know is that he can make impossible possible. He can be very far at the same time in full control. That's impossible. So this is next quality which Krishna is revealing to us. His person is full of different potent energies. Hence, determination is itself actual fact. So you know what this statement? This is statement from Upanishads. Prabhupada is directly quoting. His determination is actual fact. That is sankalpa. Krishna creates this material world by sankalpa. Satya sankalpa. This is called Satya sankalpa. So when Prabhupada is writing purports, he is having many verses in his mind. That is why it is as it is, no? He is not writing from his mind. This determination is actual fact. So one system of reading purports is to try to find what verse is connected to this statement. Every statement is connected to one verse. Now we may know, we may not know, because many people will not know that this is from Upanishad, Satya Sankalpa. Prabhupada is translating. In this way, personality of Godhead is to be understood. We may think of doing something, but there are so many impediments. Sometimes it is not possible to do as we like. Why Prabhupada is bringing this point? We may think of doing something, there are so many impediments. Sometimes it is not possible for us to do as we like. Why? Because we just read Krishna can make impossible possible. If we try to do something, there will be obstacles. We cannot make impossible possible. Because we don't have Satya Sankalpa. But Krishna has. Time and space cannot limit him. Like so many people say, in this word, be successful, you can do everything. You can make impossible possible. That's their idea. But, okay, fine, big rich people like Steve Jobs, he has done impossible thing. Nobody can do, Apple, big millionaire. But the point is, they cannot still compete with Krishna because they cannot extend themselves beyond time and space. That's impossible. He died. But Krishna can work beyond time and space. He's not limited. So if he thinks now, this should happen, it might not happen now. It might happen after 1,000 years. Like Mahaprabhu. 500 years back, he was determined. In every nook and corner, my kirtan will be there. So, but it happened 500 years after. So time is not a constraint for him. His plans are beyond time. He plans, and then it might happen after 1,000 years, after 1,000,000 years. He has planned that he will come as Kalki after millions of years. So that is called Satya Sankalpa. But we are not beyond time. That is called conditioning. We are in limits of time and space. That's why things are impossible for us. But for Krishna, it's not that. Prabhupada is saying, when Krishna wants to do something, simply by his willing, everything is performed so perfectly, one cannot imagine how it is being done. Lord explains this fact. Although he is maintainer, sustainer of entire material manifestation, does not touch this material manifestation. Simply by his supreme will, everything is created. Everything is sustained, is maintained, everything is annihilated. There is no difference between his mind and himself. But there is difference between ourselves and our present material mind. So this is important, no? There is no difference between his mind and himself. What is Gita? Gita is his mind. So his mind is not different from him. And what is Krishna conscious all about? We are trying to understand his mind. People are trying to understand his form, pastimes and qualities. But we are trying to understand his mind. So Krishna consciousness also means trying to understand consciousness of Krishna. There are many meanings to Krishna consciousness. Trying to understand consciousness of Krishna, how he thinks, what is his mind all about. And that's what Prabhupada is mentioning here. His mind is having a determination to do impossible possible. That is his mind. And that reflection is in all of us, no? That is why we want to do impossible things. Yes, Renaissance man. We will achieve this, we will go to moon, we will go to Mars. That's what Obama is always saying. America has achieved what was impossible in history. That's there in us. It's coming from God. He's also present personally. He's different from material manifestation, yet everything is resting on him. He's explained as Yogam Aishwaram, mystic power of Supreme Personality of Godhead. The mystic power of Lord is that he can make impossible possible. So these two verses are giving us two qualities of Krishna. The first quality is he is full of contradictions. And the second quality is he can make impossible possible. Mission impossible, no?
Yeah.
This is also for us this mission impossible. How do you maintain everything? So these are nice qualities. Although these things are not, if you read like that, you can make out these two qualities. But it is right there. And that is why Mahaprabhu says Achinte. He puts what Achinte? Bheda Bhed. Actually Bheda Bhed means contradiction, no? That's why this philosophy is Bheda Bhed. Is contradictions. That's why you need love. Hare Krishna. Any questions? I'll stop here. Finished. Hare Krishna. Yeah.